Hi guys, and welcome back to Learn Business with Jade, the channel where I share the tips and tricks and things I've learned along the way while building my tall fashion brand Rosanna London. Today I will talk about the 6 things I wish I knew before I started working with international manufacturers. So for context, I've worked with manufacturers in Pakistan and in China, but I'm going to specifically be talking about working with Chinese manufacturers. This is my preferred country, I'd say. As I said, I've only worked with 2 different countries, so maybe I'll find another country in the future, but a lot of these tips do apply to any international manufacturer. So first one is Spring Festival. Spring Festival, also known as Chinese New Year in any country apart from China. Okay, so if you're not in China, or maybe if you're just uncultured like me, you may not know that Chinese New Year is a national holiday in China. Obviously makes sense. However, because of the geographical situation in China, whatever, a lot of them that work in Beijing or in any major city aren't from there, and they actually travel to their provinces to celebrate Chinese New Year or Spring Festival. For this festival, some of these factories are closed for up to a month. Basically for the whole of February. I did not know this. So if you watched my previous video, you will understand I was talking about planning ahead and so on and so forth. So when I was planning ahead, I was talking to them. I said, okay, I need one more sample, this, that. And they were like, you need to order now if you want it before Spring Festival. They actually get something like 2 or 3 weeks off depending on the factory, but at least 2 weeks off. And because of this, this means that essentially you have to order everything you need up until the end of March in January. I didn't know this, so I'm having to order anything I need to release in Jan, Feb or March in January and at the beginning of January. I'd advise, similar to the whole booking, similar to my previous video talking about doing things in advance and being way in advance. The more in advance you are, the less this will affect you, or probably won't affect you at all, but something to consider, especially if you're trying to launch around now and that kind of thing. So yeah, Spring Festival, I wish I knew, essentially. Number 2, be very clear with your manufacturers. Go as far as sending annotated photos. Now, I use I found my manufacturers via Alibaba. I know some people use madeinchina.com, something like that, but Alibaba, I use the app and I message them. There's no issue regarding language barrier. There's a few things that they don't translate correctly, but with explanation and photos with arrows it's easy, but you have to be so clear. And I think this would have been the case with any manufacturer I'm not seeing face to face, because I might say just small things. So what I do is I use technical drawings or just my own sketches, and I literally put an arrow and label it A, and underneath I have a table that says A is the wrist and I need it to be this long, this B is this, and I send it to them, a screenshot of that, and send it over on the app or on the online website, whatever. That way there's no confusion. There's no, because what was it? I think the hem of trousers or pants, because they use a lot of American terms for, they use a lot of American English. So obviously pants are trousers, that kind of thing. But the hem of pants or trousers are called foot mouth instead of hem. When they translate it over, I guess it's like the mouth of your where your foot goes in. I don't understand why, but he kept saying foot mouth. I was like, what do you mean? What? And I just said, what letter is it? Whereas previously I was like, oh, I want this, and I'd send inspo photos and this, that, but because I'm not able to talk through it in person, I'm pointing this kind of thing, it's be so specific. Definitely, I'm not sure how it'd work for a normal brand, but if you're doing tall or petite or any kind of specialist brand, plus size, make sure you use your own measurements. For example, with my joggers, the logo is embroidered on the left pocket and on the sweatshirt. On the left pocket, I told them the length I want from the seam to the logo, and from the top, everything has to be so specific. Don't leave anything to chance. Thirdly, shop around. I learned this a bit late, but not before. I wasted a bit of money because I didn't shop around, essentially. I assumed it was a bit like the UK, where prices for patterns, sampling are pretty similar across the board. Ultimately, this might cost you this much, and this much. is like in London, in Birmingham, like they kind of, depending on the area, depends on what it will cost you. In China, or specifically on Alibaba, things can range. So for example, a tank top, someone might quote you $5, someone could quote you $25. I don't know why, but shop around, find out about everything from the fabric, like just shop around and you'll find a price that matches the level of fabric. There was someone that was trying to sell me something for $25 and I found it at a better quality than something that person gave me for $10, for example, like for a sample. So just kind of things to take into consideration. Also, side note, everything's in US dollars. You can change it, but they talk in dollars. It's just easy to do it in dollars, to keep that in mind when you're comparing prices. Number 4, ask for photos before shipping. I didn't do this until a most recent sample I had issues with. It's so important. It just saves you time. It can take sometimes 4, 5, 6 days for something to arrive, and at that point you have to then pay for another sample with another delivery, and sometimes even with another set of customs, just to avoid that, especially with samples. But just to avoid that, make sure they send you a photo when it's in China or whatever country it's in the factory, and you can look at it and be like, okay, cool, or that looks a bit dodgy, or like, is that correct, blah blah blah. You can kind of look at it before you get it in person, just so that if there are any mistakes, they can fix it there. And then just to avoid any additional waste of time, waste of money, we don't want that. 5th, beware of delays. With COVID, with Brexit, with all kind of rubbish that's going on in the UK, everything is slower. Whereas if there's any issues, like for example, if my manufacturers were still based in the UK, any issues, I'm driving down, pick up myself, drive it back, easy peasy, you're gonna get it. It'll take you a day max. Let's say somewhere really far, take you a day to get there and back. You can't do that with China. Even like pre-COVID, you're not gonna fly over there yourself and fly. It just doesn't really work like that. So beware of these delays, take them into consideration. I personally am tempted to not do pre-orders again, just to avoid these delays, but we will see. Don't mark my words, I may do that to kind of avoid the issue of Spring Festival, who knows. But just beware of delays, and a lot of the times once it leaves the factory, not even a lot of times, all times when it leaves the factory to when it gets to you, there's no control. Like for example, I ordered new packaging first week of December, it's supposed to take about 5 days. It came on the 29th of December, and just because it got stuck in customs, nothing you can do, it's stuck in customs. The manufacturer has no control, I have no control, you're just stuck in, there's nothing you can do, it's stuck in customs. So just kind of be aware of these kind of things, be aware rather, these kind of things, and try and take them into consideration as much as possible. And number 6, similar to my last point, is be aware of customs and fees. It's an international order, international import, depending on the option that they choose on their side, and also depending on your country. I know we've got new import laws because of Brexit. There's issues here, there and everywhere, so just beware of kind of import taxes, duties and fees. Try and see if you can get your manufacturer to estimate how much it might be, or even to just get them to include it in your shipping costs so you know it's done and sorted. But a lot of times you can't do this, it's a whole thing. But just beware and make sure you actually have the money to pay. I know UPS, for example, like most of them, will not deliver your stuff if you don't pay. And they usually tend to do a text and that kind of thing, or an email, depends on how you do your manufacturer. But yeah, beware of those, because then you won't get your stuff and you already paid for it, so it's a bit sticky. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Learn Business with Jade, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.